the broader economic and social impact. Drucker's concept of the knowledge worker has also influenced broader economic and social trends. Rise of the gig economy, the flexibility desired by knowledge workers has contributed to the rise of freelance, contract, and remote work arrangements. Educational focus. There has been a shift in educational priorities towards lifelong learning and skills that support knowledge-intensive work. Conclusion. Peter Drucker's recognition of the shift towards a knowledge-based economy and his conceptualization of the knowledge worker have fundamentally altered the way organizations approach their workforce. Managing knowledge workers effectively requires a blend of strategic flexibility, robust support systems, and a culture that promotes continuous learning and innovation. As economies continue to evolve, the insights provided by Drucker will undoubtedly continue to influence how organizations adapt and thrive in the face of these challenges and opportunities. E. Management by Objectives MBO. Peter Drucker's Management by Objectives MBO is a strategic management model that has profoundly influenced modern management practices. MBO focuses on aligning company goals with the personal objectives of employees, enhancing both performance and motivation. This method is particularly effective in promoting a sense of participation among employees and ensuring that the direction of the company is collectively understood and pursued. 1. Fundamentals of Management by Objectives. MBO operates on several key principles. A. Setting clear, achievable objectives. Objectives are established at various levels of the organization, ensuring they are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. SMIRT. These objectives are not just top-down directives, but are agreed upon through negotiation between employees and management. B. Participatory goal setting. This approach fosters greater employee engagement because workers participate in setting their own goals. This involvement ensures that the objectives have personal significance to employees, which enhances motivation. C. Aligning objectives across the organization. MBO ensures that the goals at different organizational levels are aligned with the strategic objectives of the company. This alignment helps maintain focus and coherence in activities throughout the organization. D. Periodic review and feedback. Objectives are regularly reviewed as meetings between managers and employees, which helps keep projects on track and allows for mid-course corrections. This continuous feedback loop supports better communication and responsiveness within the organization. Key performance evaluation and reward. Performance is evaluated based on the achievement of objectives. This appraisal is linked to rewards, not just in terms of salary increments or bonuses, but also through recognition and opportunities for professional growth. 2. Benefits of MBO. The implementation of MBO offers several advantages. A. Improved manager-employee relations by working together to set and achieve goals. Relationships between managers and employees are strengthened, fostering a cooperative work environment. B. Increased clarity and focus, clear objectives. Provide employees with a sense of direction and focus their efforts on critical activities, reducing wasted resources and efforts on non-essential tasks. Sheet. Enhanced accountability since objectives are defined clearly and agreed upon. There is a higher level of accountability among employees to meet their targets. Empowerment and motivation. Employees feel more empowered and motivated when they are involved in the goal-setting process, and when their achievements are directly linked to personal and organizational goals. 3. Challenges in implementing MBO. While MBO has many strengths, there are also challenges in its implementation. A. Time-consuming process. The process of setting goals and conducting regular reviews can be time-consuming and may require significant managerial effort. B. Risk of overemphasis on objectives. There can be a tendency to focus too narrowly on achieving specific objectives, potentially neglecting other important aspects of the job or opportunities outside the defined goals. Sheet. Adaptability issues in fast-changing industries. The rigid setting of objectives may limit the ability to adapt to new challenges or opportunities that arise after goals have been set. 4. MBO in multinational companies. MBO is particularly useful in multinational companies, where ensuring alignment across diverse geographies and cultures can be challenging. It helps create a unified direction and common understanding of what needs to be achieved, regardless of location. This is crucial for maintaining coherence in global strategies and operations. 5. Evolution and current relevance. Over the years, the concept of MBO has evolved to accommodate new management, thinking and business realities, such as the need for more flexibility and adaptability in goal setting. Today, while the basic principles of MBO are still in use, they have been integrated into more dynamic systems of performance management that accommodate continuous change and cross-functional goals. Conclusion. The relevance of management by objectives MBO, as originally formulated by Peter Drucker, endures in today's complex business environment. This strategic management approach has stood the test of time, demonstrating its adaptability and effectiveness in fostering organizational success across various industries and cultures. MBO's focus on clear, participatory goal setting is a fundamental principle that resonates with contemporary management practices, emphasizing alignment, accountability, and employee engagement. 1. Enduring principles of MBO. Goal alignment. MBO helps ensure that individual goals are aligned with the broader objectives of the organization. This alignment is crucial in driving organizational performance and ensuring that all efforts are directed towards common ends. Employee engagement. By involving employees in the goal-setting process, MBO enhances engagement and motivation. This participatory approach not only makes employees feel valued, but also increases their commitment to achieving their personal and the organization's goals. Accountability and transparency MBO fosters a culture of accountability where individuals are responsible for meeting their objectives. This transparency helps in identifying areas where employees excel and where they may need additional support or resources. 2. Adaptability of MBO. Despite its origins in the mid-20th century, MBO has evolved to fit the changing landscapes of modern businesses. Today, it integrates seamlessly with other management methodologies, like Agile and Lean, which emphasize flexibility, continuous improvement, and rapid response to change. Organizations now use MBO not just for setting annual objectives, but also for supporting more dynamic and iterative processes that require regular revaluation and adjustment of goals. 3. Integration with technology. Advancements in technology have also transformed how MBO is implemented. Modern tools and software facilitate easier tracking of objectives, real-time feedback, and more efficient communication between managers and employees. This technology integration supports the MBO framework by making it more accessible and adaptable to various operational needs. 4. Challenges and considerations. While MBO continues to be a valuable tool, it is not without challenges. It requires careful implementation. Flexibility in goals. Goals must be flexible, enough to allow for adjustments in response to changing market conditions or unexpected opportunities. Cultural fit. The success of MBO can depend heavily on organizational culture. Cultures that embrace change, value employee input, and focus on development are more likely to benefit from MBO, balancing quantitative and qualitative goals, while MBO traditionally focuses on measurable objectives. It's important also to consider qualitative aspects of performance, such as leadership quality, teamwork, and innovation. 5. Future of MBO. Looking forward, MBO is likely to continue adapting to meet the needs of modern organizations. It may incorporate more elements of personal development and learning, recognizing that continuous skill, enhancement, and adaptability are critical in a rapidly changing world. Furthermore, as companies increasingly focus on sustainability and social responsibility, MBO might evolve to include objectives that address environmental and community impact. 6. Conclusion. In conclusion, management by objectives remains a robust framework that can significantly enhance organizational performance. Its emphasis on clear, measurable, and agreed upon objectives creates a structured environment where employees know what is expected of them and are motivated to achieve these goals. By continuing to evolve and integrate with modern management practices and technologies, MBO can maintain its relevance and effectiveness, helping drive business success and adaptability in any organizational context. This enduring relevance is a testament to Peter Drucker's foundational insights into effective management practices.
Okay, so in this episode, we're going to be talking about notable quotables. Today, we're going to be talking about Peter F. Drucker on leadership. Stay tuned.
You are listening to The Leadersmith, Darren Gertis.
Now, if you don't know who Peter Drucker is, you've heard a term of leadership or management guru. He is the guru of gurus. He's the guy that gave us the term management in the 20th century, gave us much of the vocabulary. He wrote 40 books or so, I think 39 books on management and leadership over the course of his life. He is the go-to guy and the go-to guy for quotations. So if you're looking for quotations, just because you're curious or because you're trying to write a research paper or trying to write put together a presentation and you want to slip in a useful quotation, and I'm going to give you a number of his quotations, particularly about leadership, and then give you a little commentary on it as well. So here we go. So the first one is this. Effective leadership is not about making speeches or being liked. Leadership is defined by results, not by attributes. And I think that is one of the fundamental mistakes that people make when they talk about leadership. I get this all the time when people find out what I do for a living, that I'm a professor that designed a master's program in organizational leadership, and I teach leadership courses and management courses. They say, "Oh, that's really interesting. So, what are the qualities of leadership, or what are the traits of leadership, or something?" Okay, so that's assuming that it's defined by attributes, not by results. It's kind of a wrong-headed way, but that's also how the textbooks kind of position it as well. If you do these things, then it leads to that. So what Drucker's saying is, look, you can tell when somebody's leading by results. Now, that's not always true, because sometimes people are just tyrants and they're just grinding their people out. But so they get the bottom line results, but they're not getting results in terms of growth and helping people succeed and develop and that kind of thing. We also have this false idea that making speeches, he talks about it. Effective leadership is not about making speeches. So when you watch a movie like, say, Braveheart, we get this idea that it's all about, he just made this brilliant speech and now the people rally to him. Well, no, it's probably more that he was in the trenches with them than that he made a brilliant speech. Because leadership is far more about a process than it is about making a speech. But Hollywood lies to us about all kinds of things. So discount whatever you see in the movies. Okay, next one. Effective people are not problem minded, they're opportunity minded. They feed opportunities and starve problems. They think preventively. Okay, so what he's saying here is very similar to what Colin said when in Good to Great, he talks about how you put your best people on your best opportunities, not on your biggest problems. Yeah, be opportunity minded. See where you can grow things instead of spending time trying to put out fires or worry about problems. Focus on opportunities. Okay, the next one. Your first and foremost job as a leader is to take charge of your own energy and then to help orchestrate the energy of those around you. So that's a great line, because D. Hock of Visa said that the lion's share of your energy as a leader should be on self-leadership. I think he said 50% of leadership is self-leadership. So if you can get yourself to do the things that you need to be doing, you're halfway there. Because then by personal example, then by showing people the way yourself, you're actually leading just by self-leadership. So your foremost job is to take charge of your own energy. Then it is to help marshal those around you. And remember, leadership is not about personal achievement. Leadership is about helping others around you to do their work and get obstacles out of their way and equip them so that they can do work. Leadership is about working through others. Okay, next one. The leaders who work most effectively, it seems to me, never say I. And that's not because they have trained themselves not to say I. They don't think I. They think we. They think team. They understand their job to be to make the team function. They accept responsibility and don't sidestep it. But we gets the credit. This is what creates trust, what enables you to get the task done. Okay, the difference between thinking I and we is fairly common in the literature, and he's absolutely right about this. So if you can listen to a leader, and as they talk, if they say I all the time, if they're always talking about, well, I did this and I did that and I did this and whatever, that's a red flag. If you hear them say we are this and we're doing that and we have done this and the team has done that, right? That's a very good sign, but it's not enough because they could have trained themselves to talk in terms of we, even if they really mean I. But if they do that, that's a positive sign moving the right direction. The reason that this is important is because the mentality behind it. So if your mentality truly is a we rather than I, you'll do a lot of things right just by default, just trying to incorporate others. Like let's think about this. So let's think about planning. If you have an I mentality, you sit around in your office and brew on what it is that needs to change, how you're going to change it, what it would be optimally like. If you have a we mentality, you take that same need for change and you start talking to others and saying, hey, how would you do this? How would you do that? And then you start to meet with them and gather them and kick the ideas around and really work. It's just, you're taking two very different paths if you think we as opposed to thinking I. So this is really important to leadership success. Okay, next, no institution can possibly survive if it needs geniuses or supermen to manage it. It must be organized in such a way as to be able to get along under a leadership composed of average human beings. I really like that quote because sometimes we think that, oh, if we just had great leaders. No, you don't need great leaders. You need about average leaders who are all pulling the right direction. They're not at cross purposes. And if you have them, if you have average leaders well organized and there's leadership rippling through the organization, like trickling down, not just one leader at the top telling everybody what to do, but if you have everybody engaged in leadership at every level throughout the organization, you're going to do just fine because they're going to be taking care of what they need to be taken care of. So it's not that you need a super leader. It's that the only thing that you need of a super leader, let me put it like this, is somebody at the top who is allowing the rest of the organization to apply leadership. If what happens very often is not that you need a super leader, it's that you have a petty tyrant at the top of the organization who is stifling leadership throughout the rest of the organization because it has to be all about that person. And when that happens, he becomes a bottleneck and the organization, like an engine, starts to sputter and stall. If you do not have that, if you just have an average guy doing his thing, you'll be fine. If you have a great one, you'll be fine. What you need is to light up the leadership throughout the organization, not focus about the one great leader at the top. Okay, I really, really, really love this quote, and I've used it in class, I don't know, too many times to count, because somehow we have this idea that great leaders are just the best decision makers. That's not it. Listen to this. Every decision is like a surgery. It is an intervention into a system, and therefore it carries the risk of shock. One does not make unnecessary decisions any more than a good surgeon does unnecessary surgery. Now that resonates with me because I have worked for leaders who thought that it was their job to make the decisions of people 3 or 4 layers down the organization. George W. Bush called himself the decider in chief. Now he had an MBA, so he should have known better, but he thought like, well, my job is just to make great decisions. Kind of, I mean, that's part of it. But when you are at the top, if you're just thinking that you have to make all the decisions, no, no, no. Here's the way it works. The guy that's doing the job, that person has to be responsible for his unit, right? And he has to be making the decisions. If you're above him making those decisions, then you're invading his sphere, you're enfeebling him, you're enabling dependence on him. Don't do that. Let him make those decisions. If you think about you making a decision like an unnecessary surgery, you'll back off and let him do the thing. Now you have to make sure he's on task and that kind of thing. I'm not arguing that you just let him go all Wild West, but your intervention should be a last decision. It should not be something that you do regularly. every decision is like a surgery. And that's just, it's so profound, especially if you have lived in an organization where from the top, everything is decrees from the top. That quote will really resonate with you. Okay, next, accept the fact that we have to treat almost everyone as a volunteer. I love that quote. Accept the fact that we have to treat almost anybody as a volunteer. And so when you're reading that, when you're thinking through that quote, it makes sense, right? I mean, if I follow you because my paycheck depends on it, that's not necessarily leadership and followership. If I follow you because I want to, like, think about this. If I go to Habitat for Humanity or some volunteer organization, and if I show up and you're a good leader, that's great. If I come back the next day or next week or whenever I'm supposed to again, you have now demonstrated proof of concept that you are leading well. It's if I don't show up, well, you don't necessarily know. If we treat people like volunteers, if we think about them that way, rather than how they're dependent on us, we'll get a better sense of whether we're really leading or not. Now that kind of leads to the next one. Rank does not confer privilege or give power. It imposes responsibility. So as leaders, we think about, it's good to be king, or, rank has its privileges. Yeah, rank, it does allow you to do things that maybe you can't do lower in the organization. But don't think about it like that. It doesn't confer privilege or give power. It imposes responsibility. If you think in terms of the higher you go, the more responsible you are, the more it is your duty to ensure the well-being and benefit of those in the organization, you'll again, you'll make mental different decisions on the path, right? You'll turn left instead of right, or right instead of left at the appropriate times, because you're thinking through it properly. You're trying to see, how do I help these people succeed, rather than, hey, they should be listening to me, or why aren't they doing my bidding, or whatever kind of stupid stuff that you've convinced yourself of because you're in charge. If you feel that deep responsibility of leadership, you will act differently, and people will respond differently in accordance with that. Okay, next, leaders shouldn't attach moral significance to their ideas. Do that, and you can't compromise. So I see this happen with a couple categories of people: ministers and educators, and those in righteous movements, like an environmentalist who's going to save the world, and if you don't listen to him, you're evil, right? Okay, so ministers are kind of like this, right? Because um, they confuse like the thou shalt nots and absolutes of the scripture sometimes, not always, but sometimes, with whatever came into their head. That's attaching moral significance to their idea. And if you cross that idea, then you're wrong. Educators do this in a different way. They got a PhD, and now they think that they know stuff about things outside of their field, and they can be just as obstinate. Like, I know a lot about things within my PhD. I don't know anything about what's under the hood of my car. Like, I kind of know that's an engine, but I don't know much about it. But if I carry the same arrogance, or not arrogance, attitude about how much I know about PhD stuff into what's under my car, I'm not going to be able to listen. It's that kind of thing. Okay, so hopefully that helps you understand. So here's the quote again: leaders shouldn't attach moral significance to their ideas. Do that, and you can't compromise. So if I have to be right because it came out of my head, I can't compromise. I can't listen to your idea. And here, honestly, I've always found that when I take my idea to other people that maybe only have a bachelor's degree, not even a bachelor's degree, and I say, well, what do you think? They always improve my idea. It's amazing how often that happens. Every time I bring, so here's my best draft. What do you think? Other people, it's a multitude of counselors where victory is secure, according to the Proverbs. That's where you're safe. And so bring it to other people. But if I have to, if I'm beholden to my own idea, if I think that, well, if this is my idea, if of course it's the best, then I can't change, and I need to change in order to improve. So don't attach moral significance to your own ideas. Otherwise, you can't compromise. Okay, next one. Successful leaders don't start out asking, what do I want to do? They ask, what needs to be done? Then they ask, of those things that make a difference, which are right for me? So what it's saying is, I don't just try to go do what I want to do. I go figure out what has to be done and in what order, and then of those things, which are the things that I should do and which are the things that other people within the organization should do. That's pretty straightforward, but a lot of people make a mistake here where they just start thinking, okay, I'm going to just start ticking off these things and doing things that fit me best or what. No, figure out in that sequence what needs to be done, and then of those things, should I do this or should somebody else do that, and making that decision is going to be important. Okay, next. No executive has ever suffered because his subordinates were strong and effective. Gosh, I like that quote. That is such a great quote. No executive has ever suffered because his subordinates were strong and effective. Sometimes leaders, because of maybe low self-esteem or jealousy or fear that their people are going to leave, stifle their subordinates. I've seen this happen, and when they do that, I guess they feel more secure, but they're actually less secure. They're less strong than they otherwise would be because their subordinates are making them strong, and then they take credit for their subordinates' activities. They, I really think that I'm glad that I came up with this idea, when it's really Sally or Susie's job, or she came up with that, and you're stealing the idea, and then now she's angry with you. We know that you didn't do it. The whole department knows that you stole, and it just becomes a mess. Why not instead just simply reflect? She did this great work. I am so proud of her. I give her all the credit. That makes you look magnanimous, and that makes you look like you're smart enough to hire her. So you get credit by giving her credit. You get indirect credit by giving her the credit for her job, what she did. So again, no executive has ever suffered because his subordinates were strong and effective. I can't say that quote enough. Okay, next, success. Odd as it seems, you will achieve the greatest results in business and career if you drop the word achievement from your vocabulary and replace it with contribution. Okay, what do we mean by that? So again, leadership is not about your personal achievement. It is about getting work done through others. Now, even if you're just looking at it as an individual, achievement is like, what can I do? Here's what I can show that I've done. But contribution is, what have I given? How have I blessed you? How have I made this better? This episode is not an achievement. It is a contribution, because the whole purpose of what we're doing here, why you're listening to this now and why I'm talking now, is that I'm hoping to make a contribution to your success. I'm hoping that there's something in this episode that will resonate with you, that will help you be a better leader, or that will help you in your paper, your project, your presentation, whatever. I'm trying to contribute. I'm not trying to achieve. Look at me, I'm the best. It's not that. It's about serving you. And if you don't have that mindset, then it becomes all about you. So this is a great quote for that reason. Okay, this is the last one in the series for today, and it's awesome. I mean, it's an awesome quote. Okay, Drucker says this: an employer has no business with a man's personality. Employment is a specific contract calling for specific performance and nothing else. Any attempt of an employer to go beyond this is usurpation. It is immoral, as well as illegal intrusion of privacy. It is an abuse of power. An employee owes no loyalty, he owes no love, and no attitudes. He owes performance and nothing else. Now, I know leaders who are so insecure that they demand personal loyalty, even if they're out of sync or out of step with the organizational mission. I had a student, an MBA student, who told me about his boss that demanded that he like him. Like, no, but as long as you work for me, you better like me. Well, if you have to say that, something went wrong somewhere, right? But you, as an employee, what did you sign up for? Did you sign up to love your employer, to have an attitude of, what? I don't understand. You don't owe your employer loyalty, love, or attitude. What you do owe is performance, getting the job done. Now, it sounds weird to say that, but that is the reality. Now, if you're a good leader, you will naturally attract loyalty, you will naturally attract love, you will naturally attract a positive attitude. But don't confuse what your employee owes you with what is the fruit of good leadership. So if you're not seeing loyalty, love, and a positive attitude, guess what? That's a sign that you need to check your leadership. Okay. So, again, let me read the quote one more time and we'll end with this. An employer has no business with a man's personality. Employment is a specific contract calling for specific performance and nothing else. Any attempt of an employer to go beyond this is usurpation. It is immoral as well as illegal intrusion of privacy. It's abuse of power. An employee owes no loyalty, he owes no love, and no attitudes. He owes performance and nothing else. And that's from his 1973 classic tome on management. Okay, so, I said that was going to be the last one, but I want to do one more if you'll just allow me to. And this is great because sometimes we ask, are leaders born or are they made? And we have this classic conundrum, and you've heard the term like a natural born leader, and there are some people that just seem more suited to the role. And then we have the other side that says no, they're made. And Drucker answers it differently. When he was asked, are leaders born or made, he says leaders grow, they are not made. Now, why is it important to say grow? Because growth is organic. It's a process. It is something that you start from a seed and you keep growing and growing and growing. And same with you, same with me. You don't become a leader overnight. You don't have them installed and now you're a leader. It doesn't work that way. You have to grow through incremental steps in your understanding. It's like love. It's like wisdom. Leadership is like those kinds of things that have to be grown over time and developed. And so leaders grow, they are not made. And I think that's a great way to end that. Okay, so hey, listen, if you enjoyed this, I want you to stick around and go on to another episode because I'm going to talk about Drucker on management. I'm going to talk about Drucker's wit and some really interesting ideas. And there are other ones. I've done Eisenhower and I've done Jim Rohn. I have others in the can that are ready to be developed, that other great quotes. In fact, I even have a series that'll be coming out shortly about the greatest leadership quotes. So I hope that helps you become the kind of leader that you would want to follow.
이 문제를 해결할 때까지 아무도 못 나갑니다. 지민이가 트레이딩을 하고 싶은데 자신감이 없어요. 어떻게 도와주지?
동기부여 상품 없을까요? 월스트리트 공개.
중국이 최근에 조사를 해서 가장 싫어하는 국가, 드디어 한국이 1등으로. 중국 사람 시선에서 한국 사람은 가진 것 쥐뿔도 없으면서 그렇게 잘난 척을 하고 우리를 내려다봐.
세계적으로 이제 반중 정서가 되게 크잖아요.
네.
요거는 왜 생겼고 어느 정도 중국을 싫어한다고 보세요?